G'day, Cam here from Parapara, New Zealand. I'm a 50-year-old guitarist, skateboarder, terrible golfer, and I've got a new skate deck to set up and show you. I came up on my Facebook memories today, actually, that it's been exactly a year since I set up my Bones Brigade Mike McGill flight deck, which some idiot stupidly left at the skate park, and it was never seen again, sadly. So since then, I've been riding this Eric Dressen Everslick that a friend gave me, and it's been a fantastic board. It's the shape that I like, although it's a little bit wider than what I would normally ride. So I normally ride a 9-inch board. This is a 9.3, and I thought the Dressens might be a little bit too wide for me, which is why I haven't got one before. But I've actually been really enjoying it. It's a fantastic shape. And my other concern with Dressen's boards is that the wheelbase is a little bit shorter than I'm used to. So this was a 14.25 wheelbase, which I've re-drilled to 14.6. The concave wouldn't really allow me to go any longer because the truck's going to start overhanging the kick turn of the nose. And so I've been riding it at 14.6. I've actually gotten quite used to it, and it's good for carving. And but I had it in my head that I needed to get a 15-inch wheelbase, and that is what I'm used to, a 15-inch. And luckily for me, a local shop, Seaside Skates, who I've been just doing a little bit of, well, I've been helping out a little bit, they gave me this amazing board. It is a Eric Dressen's latest board, and it has a double drilled 14.5 and 15-inch wheelbase, which gives me the options of riding either of those. I'll probably ride the 15-inch at first, which is because it's the main reason I got this board. It's a cool graphic. The other thing about this deck is that it's got this amazing top graphic. I've never seen so much top graphic on a skateboard before, because normally you cover it all with grip tape, so there's not a lot of point to having so much top graphic. And this Celtic dog design here is just so cool. I love it. It's one of the coolest things I've seen. I kind of wish it was on the bottom, but it's on the top. So probably for the first time in my entire life, I've been setting up skateboards since late 1988. This is probably going to be the first time ever that I'm going to use clear grip tape. So, because I need to show this graphic off. I might cover up all this stuff because it's quite a lot there is quite a lot going on, and like you want to focus on skateboarding and not so much pretty pictures when you're looking at the top graphics. So I've got some decisions to make in terms of how I'm going to grip this. So journey with me as we set up this amazing Eric Dressen pup deck and maybe take it out for a bit of a skate. Yeah, so not everything goes according to plan in this particular setup, particularly with the rails. So I've taken all the rails stuff out of this video, and that's going to be for part 2. This part's always exciting, the unwrapping. What a beautiful looking deck. It's a bit more matte finished than I expected. Look at that top graphic, so much top graphic. So yes, this is the first time I've ever used clear grip. I've got to say, clear grip tape has improved massively since back in the day when it was basically like glass and would chew your shoes to bits. That's an important step there, wiping off any debris, because the one thing you don't want with clear grip tape is air bubbles. So this whole process is me desperately trying to avoid any air bubbles, and also trying to get it very much lined up with that little middle graphic there across the top of it, and then across this black line that you can't really see it in the video, but between that Celtic graphic and the rose graphic there's a little bit of a black line, which it's only about 1 millimeter thick, maybe 2, but I wanted to kind of show that, and so I'm very, very meticulously going across that line to try and make sure I cover up all the graphic but leave that tiny line, which I found was easier to do with the board this way around. But there's obviously a lot of editing here. This took me ages and ages and ages, just making sure there is not a single air bubble. And I think I pretty much wore off the pads of my fingers. Like if I was going to do a fingerprint ID, I don't think I would pass by the end of this process. No fingerprints left. And that is the front bit. And now the back bit. That looks pretty good though. Oh yeah, just tripping off some excess here because I don't know why, just so it doesn't get in the way. And second verse, same as the first. Pretty much this is exactly the same
process, very carefully lining it up. As I say, the video makes this look all fairly quick, but in real life this part took me ages. I was having to be very pedantic and, you know, make sure that line there was absolutely perfect. But we got there in the end. I gotta say, this whole grip tape process goes a lot better than the installing of the rails a little bit later on, but that's for video number 2 if you were interested in that. So that's all the clear grip tape done, and that was, well, it looked, the video makes it look easy, doesn't it? Now the black stuff, I wasn't sure exactly, at this point I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to design it. Do I cover up this guy completely, or do I leave him showing? I'm not sure about this guy with the eyes. It's kind of my least favourite part of the design, if I'm perfectly honest. All the rest I really like, but I don't know about that eye, that guy with the eyes. So I wipe off any dust and debris again, because even though it's not clear grip tape this time around, you still don't want any bits underneath it, and you still want to avoid air bubbles as much as you can. At this stage you'll see that I've left a little bit, or you can see a little bit of the dog collar at the top of the man there. So I've left a little bit of a gap, because my thoughts were that I would leave a line similar to the line that goes across the length of the board. I would leave these same lines going across the board, just for continuity, I guess. I do end up kind of changing my mind on that. But that's the front piece of black grip done. Now the back piece of black grip. Again, like lining it up against this line took a lot longer and was a lot more difficult than the video makes it look, with a lot of editing. And here I haven't quite decided what to do with this bit, whether I cover it up completely or whether I let a little bit of this guy through. So I decided to do a little bit of a rip in between the black and just let him sort of poke through a little bit, just his eyes rather than the whole graphic. And initially I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap for this line across here. But what happens is you can see the graphic poking through there, and I kind of decide that it looks a little bit too accidental, like I meant to line it up, I meant to cover it, but sort of failed. So after a lot of mucking around and positioning and repositioning, the plan sort of changes several times. But at this stage I'm still showing a little bit of a line. See that line there? But now nope, I don't know about that. I tried with a skinnier line, and I don't know about that either. So eventually I just block it up completely. Just put this piece right up against the other piece. Okay, not this time. Next time. There we go. And the same with the bottom one. Miraculously, this grip tape still sticks after all this repositioning. And that's how it ended up looking. But then I thought that the middle graphic was just probably standing out a little bit too much, because the clear grip tape has dulled the Celtic graphic slightly. So then the middle graphic really stands out, which is not what I wanted it to do. So I decided that it should have a little bit of clear grip tape over top, which, given that I randomly ripped the middle part, well, that made things a little bit difficult. So I had to trace out the shape of that rip using this old method with the pencil. And we used to do this with coins, where you'd put a piece of paper over a coin and put some pencil over and get the patterns from the coin. Actually, it was not so much the pencil lines that gave me the line to cut out, but it was more the other side of it, where it's a little bit indented in the paper, and that gave me a more precise cut, which wasn't perfect. You can see I'm trimming the edges off a little bit, but it came out pretty good actually. This little bit of clear grip tape through that guy. There are probably a little bit of ear pockets under there, but it looks fine. It looks good, I think, anyway. This is my favourite part, because this is where the shape of the board starts to come through, the old filing. You're just basically trying to thin out the paper to make it easy to cut here, so you file around the edges. Every person who's ever gripped a skateboard has done this, and then I use a scalpel just to cut around all those thin parts. When things go well, the scalpel sort of just glides through, but my scalpel's very old and rusty. Gosh, the scalpel would be 30 something years old probably, but it still works. And then you just trim, file off some of the edges where there's a few rough bits and smooth it out. Get rid of some of that excess sticky stuff, and then it comes out looking like this, and it is absolutely awesome. I'm so happy with how it came out. I must admit that Celtic graphic is absolutely brilliant. But there are a few issues with the next part, as I will explain.
Alright, well, I'm recording this a little bit about a week later, which you can tell by the fact that I'm wearing different clothes, and also there's a few scuff marks on the top of my now ridden skateboard. But I'm not going to show you the bottom yet, because originally my plan was to take you through the whole setup process like I did with my previous board with the rails and all that sort of thing, and it was only going to be one video. But what happened is there were a few issues when I installed the rails. I've been installing rails for many years and never made the mistakes that I made this time around. But I'm going to, the whole rail installation video has ended up being a little bit longer than expected. So I've decided to break it up into two videos. So that is the end of my video about the grip tape. That is part one of the Eric Dressen setup situation. And I'll see you soon for part two, where I make some horrendous mistakes putting on rails and tell you all about what not to do.